can't we just hustle our way through success?
You can, but it'll be...
Meet Robb Gilbear, a self-made entrepreneur and business mentor who helps people build $100,000 a year coaching businesses without the hustle.
I help people launch businesses that they love, grow businesses that they are passionate about, and do so in a way where they are excited to tell their friends and family, not just about the impact that they're having, but about the revenue that they're making. If you go down the path of building a business without that, or trying to be someone else, just know that it's inevitable that you're going to get somewhere that you hate. If you're going to do stuff you don't like with people you don't care for money, you just feel like a chump.
What was the turning point for you that realized like that's not what you ultimately want?
I've never thought about it this way, and it's really cool. Like, I just got goosebumps a little bit this time around when I launched a new business and I said, I'm going to do this, and it's not too late for me, and I'm going to build this business around impactful work, that I have subconsciously, and I haven't realized until right now, built this business in this way because
I am so excited for this conversation. It's been long overdue, but thank you so much for coming on the podcast again, second time around. Rob, how are you?
I'm awesome, Kyler. It's funny to think second time around in two conversations, two cities.
Yeah, Mexico and now Montreal. It is unfreaking believable. But, everyone right now clicked on this video for a reason. And while I was reading your book, something that came to mind was everyone goes into entrepreneurship for a reason. And yet 90% of businesses fail. And the 10% that do succeed struggle. They burnt out, misaligned, not having fun. Why do you think that is?
Most of our training, indoctrination, is to set you up to be a really great employee. From public school, where you line up when the bell rings, and then the teacher tells you to go to your workstation, and then you have to sit silently at your workstation. Mm-hmm. And if you even want to go to the toilet, you got to raise your hand. And it was a system that was created a couple hundred years ago, I think in Austria, to create good factory workers, to take farmers and turn them into good factory workers. So between that schooling and so much of society which rewards conformity, the idea of, okay, now you have to figure out how to put a message out there. You have to figure out how to do client. You have to do things like sales, which feels awkward, or maybe you've had some bad sales experiences. There's just the amount of things you need to do and do well and figure out. And it's trial and error, it's risk, and it's counter to the way we've been trained.
So I know you have a pretty awesome story that we're going to be diving deep, but why don't you just give us a little bit of cliff notes of like, what have you accomplished? What can you help people with during our next hour long conversation?
I think for me to say, what have I accomplished? I have to give a little bit of backstory. We'll dive into details, but I think if I didn't give any backstory, it wouldn't be doing justice. So dropped out of high school, started my first business as a teenager. That business was a record label. I was a DJ, music producer, and record label owner. Toured with that. It was awesome. Did some incredible things. Played at Burning Man, played at Ultra Music Festival in Miami. Like I did the thing pretty damn fully. Second career was head of people and culture in tech companies. That was great. Favorite part about that role was coaching CEOs and coaching leaders. Loved the coaching aspect. Did not feel like work. It was the intersection of people and business, two things I love and am super passionate about. But I felt something was missing. Anytime I paused and had a few minutes away, anytime I took my 1 week vacation, anytime I ignored my work email for more than a few hours, I couldn't ignore the screaming voice that said, you're meant to do more. You're meant to do bigger things. And I did the brave thing of leaving a somewhat secure job, 6-figure salary, director level title, to launch a company called Growth Habit. And I have since worked with over 400 people in 17 different countries. I have put on big events. Last year we had Do Bold Shit, where people flew in from Germany, Florida, Los Angeles, Vancouver. And I help people launch businesses that they love, grow businesses that they are passionate about, and do so in a way where they are excited to tell their friends and family, not just about the impact that they're having, but about the revenue that they're making. And essentially it comes down to building a business in a way that is aligned to them, that excites them, and they feel good about, because you can follow a script to get sales, but if it feels hollow and you hate who you are while going through the process of being aggressive, then it's probably not a business that's sustainable to you spiritually.
Yeah, no, it's crazy that you say that, because if you think to the beginning of both of our entrepreneurship journeys, and many people watching, listening to this right now, is we started out of passion, out of love, out of this hope and this idea of a better life, of helping people, impact, making money, right? And then somewhere along the line, we, I don't know, get caught up in the strategy, the tactics, that we're reading the books on the 50-step funnels and the complicated systems, and we kind of lose ourselves. And I think this is why 90% businesses don't succeed, or, you know, end up giving up. What do you find is stopping them from actually being the success, achieving the freedom and the impact that they desperately want?
There's like two sides of it. One is there's a bunch of people, and some of the incredible souls that I get to help, is they don't even get into the 50-step strategy stuff. Like there's just such a like, I don't want to do that. That feels wrong. That feels pushy.
Yeah.
So anything that could look and smell like what others would call marketing and sales, which are words I actually don't typically use. I talk about getting your message out. I talk about enrolling clients. So they'll just all out avoid it. So that's one bucket of people. And then the other ones are what you were alluding to, which is like, okay, I need to do something, or else I'm going to have to go back to an office job. I need to do something, or this is going to fail. And then it is just following these scripts without pausing and thinking about, okay, well, what feels good for me? Could I do this long term? Sure, I can do this short term to maybe get some money through the door, but how's that going to feel? And the businesses that thrive and the ones that I love helping people with are anchored around the person, or anchored around your passions, around your values, around the way you see the world, around showing who you actually are as a human. So you're attracting people, clients who are drawn to that, so that yes, you get to do meaningful, impactful work, but it's with people that you're excited to see in your calendar. And they've become clients because of the building of a relationship, and the way you showed up genuinely as yourself, and the way you've built your business makes it easy for people to say hell yes, versus any kind of forced, aggressive
Want to work with me? Yes, I know that very well. Coming from a sales background, it was not fun. It was really not fun. And that message really resonates with me. I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people. That's what ultimately we want. We want to be attracted. We want to pull people in. We don't want to feel like we're pushing and persuading and all that stuff. So you said this maybe in a video, maybe in the book, but you said something around building a business around your life. And what came to my mind was like, all the advice I've heard from other gurus is like, well, no, you have to dedicate your life to your business. You have to hustle. So why can't we just hustle our way through success?
You can, but it'll be only one sliver of success. It'll maybe only be the financial success, and the other buckets of your life and being will be empty. And then it's not sustainable. And there's some really incredible people that are saying those kinds of things. And some of them I've learned lots of stuff from, and I'm grateful for them being out there. But their goal is to build $1 billion business. They're pursuing a different goal. They maybe don't have kids. I've got 2 kids. They just, so if you just take someone else's guidance and the like hustle and grind kind of no matter what, yeah, you can end up building a successful financial business, but it won't be successful. It won't be fulfilling. You'll end up hating it. You'll burn out. And then if you burn out and can't keep doing it, well, then you're back to where you were, but maybe worse off because you've burnt the hell out.
So this is a very different approach. Like, you know, you watching YouTube, that's not the approach that many people are saying. And I'm sure there's a story behind how you came across that. Was there a moment in your journey that made you realize, like, because you had success, you talked about how you've hustled your way to success. What was the turning point for you that realized like that's not what you ultimately want?
I've never thought about it this way, and it's really cool. I think I just got goosebumps a little bit. And it goes back to the music stuff, because I got to a place where I was doing well and I was being paid well, and then there was this explosion of EDM in the late 2000s, and it meant that I was getting booked at different venues. So instead of me playing, you know, venue X on a Thursday or Friday where there'd be a couple hundred people, I was now being booked at the new big nightclub in town and being offered double or triple. However, the people who showed up there just wanted to hear pop EDM hits, didn't necessarily know who I was. And then I found myself playing music I didn't like for people I didn't feel connected to for money. And the way that I solved that was I drank more. And the way, and then once I started drinking more, then I really didn't like who I was. I didn't like the person in the mirror. And at the end of my music journey, I was so far out of alignment with who I was and who I knew I meant to be that I fucking hated myself. Like nearly took my life. Like I went to the darkest, deepest edge with that. And I think that scared me. So this time around, when I launched a new business and I said, no, I'm going to do this and it's not too late for me and I'm going to build this business around impactful work, that I have subconsciously, and I haven't realized until right now, built this business in this way because I did not want to get back to that place that I was 12 years ago with music, 15 years ago with music.
So you're chasing money, and the result of you chasing money developed habits that you didn't like about yourself.
Develop habits, I didn't know who I was, and I just felt completely disconnected with myself. It's not just habits, just behaviors, habits, and my relationship suffered. I drank more, and then like if you're gonna do stuff you don't like with people you don't care for money, you just feel like a chump. Why are we here? Like I really did not feel aligned.
So I'm sure a lot of people are feeling this way. Maybe they're not drinking, maybe they are, but they're feeling alone. They're feeling trapped in a business that they created. How do we get out of this hole that we dug ourselves? Do you have any stories that you can share? Maybe talk about how you started that journey, started to wake up and get into alignment.
There's an exercise I do sometimes with clients, and it's asking them about who they are in their realest moments. What are the things they share with people that they love and appreciate, the people that they trust and that trust them? What are the stories that they share with clients in private that they haven't yet shared online? And then it's about closing the gap between who they are in those best moments with the people who they're like closer to and who they are online, and just closing the gap between. So you're not trying to project some fake avatar for the internet because like, oh, this is the way I'm going to get views, or this is the way I'm going to client. Some character that is then you're forced with either having to maintain that, the weight of having to maintain that. And then what? So if you get clients by being this fake, or sometimes it's not just fake, sometimes it's just such a thin version. Like you hide so much of who you are and what you really think and the things that you're passionate about. And you're like, okay, this is the only bit of me that I can show because this is the part will be accepted. This is the part of me that'll get clients. So then when clients show up, your two choices are either continue to maintain the facade and the character and the avatar, exhausting. And exhausting not just to continue showing up, but in those conversations, or you can disappoint the people who signed up to work with you because they're like, wait a minute, that you're not the same person I thought you were. So I often say it is like someone shouldn't have to have 2 Zoom calls with you to find out that you really love cats and that you hate dogs and that you're really passionate about this kind of music and not the other. And that just who you are, like what's important to you and your willingness to scare some people away. And that goes back to the conformity thing that I was ranting about earlier about schools, is that we've been trained to pursue conformity and get the teachers permission and to not stick our head out because we'll get our head cut off. Then it shows up the same way with how you show up in your business, but you want to turn people away. Like I intentionally put out pieces of content that I know like this is going to make some people unfollow me. This is going to make some people cancel calls with me. And better for you to do it publicly than to do some song and dance and have the person waste their time in yours and realize that you're not a good fit for each other. Just like dating. Not everyone's meant to be compatible.
That's such a good point, because we take the dating example. Our goal is not to get the most amount of dates, and yet we try to get the most amount of views or the most amount of followers. So everyone can understand, like, no, I want to find the right person. I just don't want to go on a lot of dates. And maybe some people do, you teach your own, but most of us want to find the right person. And I think that's what you're talking about. It's not chasing after the vanity metrics that we all, have fallen to and want. And we are actually chasing the right client, the right person that you want to spend your time and energy with, and you feel more impactful helping them, right?
Way more impactful helping them. I'm glad that you called this out because someone asked me this on a workshop last week as far as what are the metrics that I measure. And the challenge of the vanity metrics is that every time you log in somewhere, there's a dashboard screaming at you. This many likes, this many comments, this many views. You cannot ignore it. And you have to remember that those are the metrics that the platform wants. That they're trying to.
That's a good point.
Yeah, they're showing you that because the more you can do that, the better it is for them. Yeah. And the metrics that are better for you to measure are tougher to measure. And the first one for me is, does this feel good to me? Do I feel good sharing this message? Am I excited about putting this out there? Does this feel good to me to be sharing? 2, is this resonating with people? And not just then again, okay, so then we're like, oh, is this vanity metrics? But no, who is this resonating with? Because I got a post that got 250,000 views on LinkedIn a couple of years ago, but it was about coffee. So like, if I just go by vanity metrics, like, oh, I should talk about coffee more.
Yeah.
Like that would be the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a funny example, but it can go the other way too. So yeah, do you feel good about it? Is it resonating, and who is it resonating with? And paying attention to those things more, like what's making people DM you? What's making, when you get into a conversation with a client, what piece of content are they bringing up? And asking people, when you're onboarding clients, like ask them where did they discover you? When you're doing a kickoff call, asking them, was there any message or piece of content that really resonated with you? I'm on a rant here and I'll end this here, but there's a client of mine I worked with last year, and she sent me a screenshot of a message to her dad. And the screenshot was like, Dad, I landed this workshop in another state and I'm being paid several thousands of dollars, and her dad is celebrating her. And she sent it to me and she said, I remember in your messaging that it said, feeling proud telling your friends and family about the money you're making, not just the impact you're having. And she had that full circle moment where then she sent it back to me. And to me, I was like, okay, though that message lands with the right kind of people that I want to serve, even if that post doesn't get tens of thousands of views.
Yeah, there was something I think I read or maybe listened from a podcast, like the happiest people on the planet are not the people making the most amount of money, but the people who feel fulfilled and bringing value into other people's lives, right? And I think that beautifully says that this girl's proud, and I don't care about how much money she makes. I'm like, I want that. I would feel way more, I would jump out of bed for something like that more than just like making some money. And some people are not driven by that, but to your point, we're trying to find our tribe, right? Our vibe attracts a tribe, as the famous quote goes. And I feel like your content, and although you don't like the word marketing, your messaging really, really resonates with me. And I love that. I love that you're changing the whole dynamic of the word marketing, which comes with, analytics, comes with a strategy, you're just like, no, just be you, be authentic. So how can we lean into that? How can we be more authentic online when we grew up in this world, as you said, where we are designed to be a shadow, designed to be a white sheep? How do we be our black sheep? How do we stand out? Is there any type of advice or stories that you have to share about that?
Well, I think about the people that I serve and these incredible coaches who are doing this work about helping their clients become the most realist, truest version of themselves, about drawing boundaries, about showing up more powerfully at work, in their health, in their relationships, in their careers, etc. And it's the same thing, but just being willing to do it publicly. So it's cool that you've started to sort your house out internally, and that you're speaking your mind, your relationship, and that you're putting yourself first in your career and all these other things. But it's realizing that has to extend beyond you externally if you want your message to attract the right people. And again, go ahead and do I call him Flat Fred. I've got a slide in my mind in one of my trainings, Flat Fred. And it's just this like flat character. And I joke about Flat Fred.
Maybe we can pull it up. Pull up Flat Fred.
Flat Fred.
Okay.
And Flat Fred never says anything that anyone could possibly disagree with.
Okay.
Flat Fred never says anything that someone could possibly be offended by. Flat Fred never shares anything about him as a person, about a human, as an individual, that someone could feel some kind of connection, some kind of emotion, some kind of energy to. Flat Fred struggles to attract people because he is ensuring that he is so vanilla and sanitized. So it goes back to, you want to do meaningful work. You've done this work internally with yourself, with your relationships, with who you are and how you're showing up genuinely in those areas. It's the same thing externally. And if you go down the path of building a business without that, or trying to be someone else, just know that it's inevitable that you're going to get somewhere that you hate. And it's fun because when I get testimonials from clients, I got screenshots for days. 14K last month, 20K new clients, I've got my 100K year. But in conversation with people, and I had an interview with a client last week, we did a podcast, and he talked about me helping him connect with himself. And he signed 60K deals. He's done awesome stuff. He's made loads of money. But the part that he iterated and emphasized the most in the testimonial was helping get back to who he was and realizing it was okay to show up himself. And it starts with accepting who you are, and then being willing, I'm going to put that out in the world, whether everyone loves me or not. And there's a an image, and it's probably like an Instagram post I saw somewhere, and I think of it, and it's like one of those billboard quotes, and it says, stop trying to get everyone to like you. You don't even like everyone.
Oof. Wow, that's powerful. I love that. It's so true.
Yes.
Holy cow. Yes. You don't like everyone, so not everyone's going to like you.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So, and then maybe the last piece from a practical point of view is just stop judging people. Stop judging others. If like find a reason. I'm in this habit right now where I'm in public and I see someone in old me used to be like, oh, I can't believe he's wearing that shirt or those boots. What like the nose looks funny. Like just bullshit. It's just stupid shit that my brain would go to. Or like sometimes it'd be like, oh, that reminds me of this person. That person was a bit of an asshole to me in that job. Like, but now I see someone and I'm like, find something you like about them. Find something to be grateful for. And it's a muscle. It took time. And I still, if I'm tired, if I'm hungry, I'll revert back to judgmental Rob. But I find myself, if I'm practicing this little exercise of finding something to appreciate and like about every human I interact with, then I'm way less worried about the judgment of others because I am not judging others.
What I love about what we're talking about here is less about this, what we see across YouTube, the secret strategy, the how-to. People are looking externally for an internal problem that you are relating, talking about here. That the real thing is actually going, in your words, in alignment, right? Alignment with who you want to serve, how you want to help, how do you want to live. And so you're helping these entrepreneurs design a business around how they want to live, which is such a cool concept, which I think ultimately is why we got into business, right? Now, you wrote a book and you talk a lot about your journey and getting into where you are today. I'd love you to talk more about this, why you wrote the book, what was the purpose behind it? Because, you don't have to write a book. So there has to be a lot of drive for you, a lot of reasons behind it. But I would love for you to share more about your book and what made you want to start this? What made you want to write this?
It's funny because it started with content on LinkedIn. And I've been sharing consistently on LinkedIn for 6 years. And anytime I shared a story about difficult situations I went through, problems I overcame, crazy stuff that I experienced, those stories really resonated. And it wasn't just likes and comments, but it was the DMs and people saying, thank you. And it's good to know that I'm not alone. And it's nice to know I'm not the only one. And my partner, Melissa, said, what if you made a book? What if you made a book that was a collection of stories? And then I thought about other books out there where there are collections of stories and how it's fun to consume and you can deliver a message. And I'd never intended my first book to be a memoir of sorts, but it turned out that way. And so then I made a challenge for myself. I said I was going to write the first draft of my book in 45 days. And I did 2 crazy things to ensure that I would do it. One is I hired a book coach and mentor and paid them a lot of money to hold me accountable. We had deadlines and stuff. And the other thing is I declared it publicly. Like I have this simple strategy. We talked earlier about all these strategies, and I have frameworks, I have tools, and I have things that I work with people on. But the simplest framework that I revert back to all the time is do bullshit that scares you, learn as you go, share what you're learning to help others, repeat. Like that's what I think too. So when I was writing the book, I thought, okay, I'm going to declare this publicly. I said, I'm writing a book, goals in first draft in 45 days. I want you to hold me accountable, check in with me. People DM'd me. People were like, hey, I haven't heard you update about the book recently. And I wrote it. I wrote it in 43 days. And I'm proud of it. The number one piece of feedback I get from people beyond like nice things about it being inspiring, whatever, but by far is I couldn't put it down. I read the whole thing in one sitting. I made the mistake of starting to read it on a red-eye flight, didn't sleep at all. I read it in one weekend. Like I have dozens and dozens and dozens of examples of this, which is really cool because it's been out for 3 years and people are still enjoying it, and it's delivering a message of possibility. Because the subtitle, which you maybe can't see here, it's Die Before They Do, From Selling Drugs to Lunch with Jim Carrey, Stories of Struggle, Near-Death Experiences, and Creating a Life with Meaning.
What do you think that means, creating a life with meaning?
It goes back to a lot of stuff that we're chatting about as far as you feeling good, you feeling like you're making an impact, you feel like you're making a difference. And it's wild to see how much things have shifted there because I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40 at this point. And
you look good.
Thank you. It's because my partner makes me moisturize.
Little hack.
It's probably actually had that, but I meditate most days. I haven't had a drink in 11 years, and I spent a lot of time in gratitude. I think those definitely help. But for a long time, I saw what was possible. I saw the model people fell into. I kind of saw the trap is that there was a lot of jobs that were promising security. There's a lot of places where you could get a pension. And there was all of these fixings that made it attractive for you to do work that you didn't necessarily feel meaning attached to. You didn't feel like it lit you up. You didn't feel like you're making a difference because, well, some security, some pension. That has fallen away. The idea that there's jobs that there's security are near non-existent. So it's really awesome now to see the shift that I'm seeing as a society towards the younger people really want to do something where they feel like I matter. Even if I'm just impacting one singular person, I know that I matter. And I think that's it. We're here for a blip. Our life passes by quickly. So for me, a life with meaning is using your gifts. It lights you up. You're excited when you think about it, talk about it, and are doing it. And if your life was taken care of, you'd probably do it for free.
Was this some of the reasons why you want to write this book?
For me, it was maybe, yes. I think there's a thread of everything I've done, because I've switched my focus a few times in my career, especially since I got into the coaching and now business mentoring thing, where it was like, okay, is this using my gifts? Is this helping other people? But there's been this thread as far as showing other people that they can rewrite who they are. And showing people a possibility. And I felt with the book, especially when the stories hit, I was like, yeah, this is telling people that there's another possibility. It's giving people hope. And it's allowing people to see that you can completely rewrite who you are. Because I have fully rewritten who I am at least 2 or 3 times. And that's what the book shows. And I think if that's one message that I can leave on this planet, then I think that's a message I feel good about. Someone asked me recently, like if I passed away, and I was able to say like, yeah, if I leave here today and I get hit by a bus, hopefully not, I feel good. I've got a great relationship with my kids. I have a loving partner. I have completely changed who I am. And I have this book out there that is making a difference. And I know that there's lives, hundreds of lives, if not thousands of people that I've positively impacted. And I feel like I'm living life well. And that feels good.
I think that's what we ultimately crave. And the thing that I'm really taking away from this conversation with you is that people believe that money is going to bring them happiness. And ultimately what you're saying is if you chase money, you will do the wrong things and actually not give you a happy life. It is the opposite of what money can give you security. There's a lot of things that money can do for sure. But if you chase after it versus if you actually chase after purpose, passion, impact, right? Money will come to you. Money will energetically come to you because you're doing the thing that you want to do, and people want to be around those who are loving what they do, right? If someone's hating their job, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to look, you know what I mean? It's like this guy or girl hates what they do. I'm not going to want to work with them. So that's really what I'm really taking away from this and from the book is amazing stories of hope, right? A new perspective of don't chase the money, chase the dream, and the money will come.
Chase the dream, but know that you need some intention and some strategy around it. This is a great leaping point to go into something else, because one of the things that's said to me most frequently by clients is they didn't feel like I was trying to sell them. And they want to learn how to build a business where people are saying yes to work with them, and it feels the way they felt in the enrollment process with me. And it felt natural. It felt organic. I've got tons of messages from people like that. So yes, I would prioritize the purpose and the impact and the dream over just money, because then I know how that plays out, because I've helped those people. And you end up with money, but you feel hollow. You end up with money, but you realize that you're like adrift from what you were originally meant to do. But also, if you just pursue impact, meaning, but don't stop and think about, okay, how am I going to get my message out? How am I going to create offers that people want to say yes to? How am I going to make it easy for someone to go from not knowing who I am to wanting to work with me? How am I doing enrollment conversations in a way that feels empowering, feels organic, feels awesome, so people say like, yes, I'm in? Because you still need to do those things. You still need to get your message. If no one knows who you are, you can't help anyone. And if you're never making invitations for someone to go deeper in your world, it's going to be superficial. And if you're not making offers to someone saying like, hey, Kyler, it's been great chatting with you. I think this could be helpful for you. It's like you you can throw a birthday party, but if you don't send out invitations, no one's fucking coming. No one's going to come to your party.
Yeah.
So
True.
yes to the dream, yes to the meaning,
Yeah.
yes to the impact, but also there needs to be some intentional things put in place, or else you're going to have a feel-good hobby and maybe the countdown clock until you have to go back and get a job.
So why don't we talk about those practicals right now? Because we talked a lot about the whole idea of shifting their beliefs.
Yes.
You talked about having a framework. Can we walk through some of those bullets, some of those frameworks of like, okay, getting alignment, putting out the message, inviting and enrolling clients. I like that better than sales calls. And you talked about, not selling your soul. So let's walk through some of that process right now.
Awesome. So it's fun because a bunch of the stuff we spoke about right now is around messaging. And the first component is magnetic messaging. And magnetic messaging is messaging that is built around who you are as an actual human. It's based around attracting the people that you are excited and want to spend time with. It's about showing your true self and sharing that in a way that people say, like, I just want some of that. Like, I want to be around you. I want to be in your energy. I've got a folder full of screenshots that say things like, if I wasn't reading this in my feed, I thought you wrote this just about me. Or I feel like I manifested your words. And your ability when you have a magnetic message is that you make people feel so seen and heard that they assume, there's a quote, let's see if I don't butcher it. And when you can articulate someone's pains and problems better than they can, they assume that you have the solution.
Yeah.
So that's the key part. And earlier I joked about I have a picture of a slide in my head. I have another picture of a slide for this year because I have this slide that I use all the time, and it's a poop emoji with a megaphone. Because if
Throw it up here.
because if you don't dial in your messaging and you do something like start running ads, and you do something like, I'm just going to post every day now, instead that's how I'm going to get clients, or I'm going to hire an agency to help do some stuff, or I'm going to do cold outreach. And if you don't first dial in your messaging, you're just turning up the volume on stuff that doesn't work. You're amplifying shit. That's what the slide is about. It's amplifying shit.
Yeah.
So I could rant about this for a long time, but that's cornerstone number one, and it's magnetic messaging. And then from there, we build on top of that.
It's like you going the street with a megaphone and saying, hey, everyone, and you might get attention. People will look at you. Will they buy from you? Will they trust you? Will they come over? Probably not. They probably want to avoid you. So being the loudest isn't being magnetic, right? We can all be very loud, but being magnetic is actually the dog whistle, actually people attracting the right person. So I love that. Okay. So magnetic messaging, number one.
Number one. Number two is a hell yes offer. And I have a
hell yes.
A hell yes.
Preach, baby.
But that's the energy you want someone to have. You don't want someone being like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure. You want people that are like, hell yes, this speaks to me. Hell yes, I'm excited to work with you. Hell yes, I believe that this is what I need to get me to where I want to go. Then I have a framework around, and it's the 8 P's of a hell yes offer, and fleshing out, like, what are the different things that you need to have clarity on? What are the different things you need to show in an offer for someone to see that, yes, this is made for me. Yes, you understand me. Yes, I believe you can get me to the other side of where I want to go, so that when it comes to it, and I'm at the point now where half of my clients, 60% of my clients in the last 5 months, I haven't done an enrollment call. I haven't done a sales call. And there's a future where I'm teaching this to my clients, but the idea is that you get so good at your message and you can be so good at your offer and these other things that we're going to talk about where people are enrolling themselves. But you need a hell yes offer for that to work you're making offers all the time, whether you realize it or not. And whether you're offering to get someone to get on a call or you're inviting someone to your workshop. Hell, if you're driving in traffic and I want to merge and you're a stranger, I'm making an offer and I'm like, am I making eye contact and am I smiling at you? Am I giving you the finger? Like, it's you're making offers all the time. How you frame those offers, what you include in those offers changes whether people say yes or no.
That's a great point, because we probably think as offers as a pitch.
Yes.
Right. I think that would be the common word, like, oh, I'm not good at pitching. Oh, I can't. I hate it. It feels icky. But what you're saying is, no, you do it all the time. You just have to understand how to frame it in a hell yes format.
Yes.
Right. I love that. Hell yeah.
Hell yes.
All right. So we got magnetic messaging. We got a hell yes offer.
Yes.
What's next?
Your rocket ship, which is a proprietary framework that I have, which takes the traditional funnel and flips it on its head. And the idea of a funnel was like creating this journey where, you get people in and then you kind of push them down through the different layers. And the way funnels worked 5 years ago, 10 years ago, don't work. No one likes feeling stuck in a funnel. There's a bunch of aggressive language used in that world. Like you have a tripwire. Like, do you know what a tripwire is? Do you know how that's used in war? Like, it's just, for me, so instead of it being this way and trying to force people down with pressure, it's up, it's a rocket ship. And then just knowing that there's things that we put in place in your business so that we are naturally moving people from not knowing who you are to, please, let's work together, from discovering you from the first time to being curious, and these stages that I help people create in their business so that they're building trust, they're creating relationships, and you're making invitations at each stage of the business. And if I'm going to go with the rocket ship theme all the way, the idea is that we're extending our arm and inviting people up. Like, hey, are you interested in this? Like, if you found that helpful,
you're leveling them up.
You're bringing them up with you. And the idea is that in the end, only a select few people are going to be in the cockpit with you to go off to space. And I think about NASA. NASA doesn't run ads. NASA doesn't have landing pages with a countdown timer. NASA shows astronauts doing cool astronaut shit. And then people say, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And that's what I help people create. That's what we do with the rocket ship.
It's so cool to see, like, just hearing it, right? I'm like excited. Like, I want to join that journey. I want to be an astronaut, you know, I want to be up in space looking down like, yo, what's up? You know? But I think like the word is calling, right? You're calling the people who crave that. And coming from a creative, you know, being a DJ, right? There's so many people, I believe that everyone's creative, you know, but we're maybe out of touch with it, right? And you're tapping into that creativity, that's what entrepreneurship is creative problem solving, right? And you're doing that right now by flipping the funnel on its head and understanding that, yes, there's some strategic things you still need to do, but you need to change your perspective in taking people through a 50-step process where you trick them or pressure them or do fake scarcity. And you're just like, yo, if you want to come in, you can jump in. Right? It's available. So I love that. So we got magnetic messaging, hell yes offer. We got the rocket ship. Is it rocket ship method or what?
The rocket ship method is the full name of it, but building your rocket ship is the way I normally talk about it. Okay. And then there's a fourth step. But before we get to it, just because you called out creativity, and I realized that I didn't talk about it before, when it comes to that first step, that messaging step, yes, to showing up as you actually are and to be clear on who you want to attract and putting out that dog whistle message that attracts the right folks. So we're not just amplifying shit, but leaning into your creativity. And the people that I attract are either creative, or if they don't consider themselves creative, they want to lean into their creativity. And that's a big thing that I do with clients, is helping them tune into their creativity and using that as a part of the way that they're sharing their message, so that their message feels more like art than I'm going through the forced motions of creating content because this is what I have to do to feed the algorithm gods. Like, it's just a different way of looking at it. So I wanted to tag that. All right. So we did magnetic messaging. We did hell yes offers. We did your rocket ship, the rocket ship method. And the fourth one is enrollment with ease. Sometimes I jokingly call it enrollment with ease without the sleaze.
I love that though, because it's true. We sometimes feel allergic to a sales call.
Yes.
And coming from a sales background, it like just saying the word is like, ugh, like it gives me the ick, gives me goosebumps. I'm like, I remember the horror stories, you know? So I love that. Explain this enrollment process. How do we enroll clients with ease? And you do it, from what I understand, without really a sales call.
The way I'm teaching people is with a call, because most of the people I'm working with are earlier than me in their journey. There's some people that I work with or have worked with that are further ahead, but most of the people are a bit earlier than me in their journey. Many of them still need calls, but how you set up the call, how you talk about the call, like not even like, don't call it a sales call. Heck, you better watch out. Don't even call it a discovery call. Cause I don't know about you, because I've gone to discovery calls and before I know it, there's someone pressuring me to break out my goddamn credit card on the call. So just knowing that there's a way that you can talk about the call, the way you frame the call. I have an exercise I give people so they show up with not confidence, conviction. They show up to the call with absolute conviction and coming from a place of service. And I have a framework. It's called the cuss call framework, in part because I swear by it. And it
very memorable messaging. I love it. The cuss call framework. This is good. Okay, go on.
And it's based on coaching, and it's based on me having done hundreds and hundreds of enrollment calls and me looking at what worked and what didn't work. And so that people show up, they get absolute clarity in what they need. They know what might be missing and they feel grateful. And if it is a good fit, then they're enrolling themselves. There's no need for pressure at the end because they've kind of enrolled themselves. And what's great about this is when you do it, that if they don't become a client, these people will send referrals. Like, it's crazy for me. I've done these calls with people and it wasn't right. They weren't the right client. It wasn't the right time. And they're still supportive. They're sending me referrals. It's really kick-ass. There's someone I did it with 6 months ago, career salesperson. He had no structure in his coaching business. And we had this call. And then at the end, he was like, God damn, you've made me sell myself. And I didn't feel pressured at all. He's like, now that I step back and think about it from an enrollment point of view, I see what you did and I see why this works. And I feel good and I feel grateful. And now I want to buy.
Just clicked.
And it clicks. So that's why I teach people how to do enrollment with ease. That's why I have the cuss call framework. And you have to make offers. If you don't make an offer, no one can say it. But how you do it, how you show up, and the way you run those conversations. And even though now I'm doing way less calls, I still apply all this in the way that the other things that I'm doing now in my business. So I'm applying the same philosophy still, and it's working.
So a lot of what you're saying is how we can achieve this goal without feeling the word like sleazy or without selling your soul. I think the challenge is that they think that the sales call is the end all be all, right? I think through your process, what you're explaining is that every step that leads to the enrollment is kind of pre-selling them. It's selling them on you. It's selling them on your method, on your message, on everything that you're talking about. So the call is just like simple, seamless, right? So that's what I love about your process. It's not that, hey, you have to be an excellent like salesperson on this call and know how to negotiate and stuff. It's like, no. It's just like every single step leads up to this point, right? Is there any advice you have? Like, do you give clients when it comes to that pre-selling, this idea of, I don't want to use word selling, but like pre-enrolling or I want to come back to the word attraction.
Yes.
We are trying to attract people. We're trying to pull people into our world. What would you say is the fundamental thing in attraction? Because we got through this 4 process and makes sense.
Yes.
But ultimately, that is the word that we're trying to achieve.
Yes. There's a few different things, and I'm going to call back to what we were talking about a bit earlier, because you said it really well, that if you are in a place where you're stressed out doing work you don't care about or doing work that you believe in, but the way you think you have to get clients, it feels pushy, feels aggressive, feels draining for you, you're going to be in a low energy state. And like, I love business. I love business strategy. I'll talk about it all day. It's one of my favorite things. And I have my level 1 Reiki, and I meditate every day. And I know that there's an invisible thread that connects all living things. So if you are vibrating in a low level of energy, you're not going to attract people. So that stuff with being clear on who your message is for and showing up as yourself will do a big thing. But then, and it's part of the kind of the rocket ship method, as part of my messaging strategy that I teach people, is you do need to allow people to get to know you. Like, if you're selling coaching and it's thousands of dollars, and this person, for them to get their outcome, needs to create trust with you, where they're talking to you about the things that they screwed up, their biggest fears, the ways they hesitated. Well, you need some connection. And if you're pretending your shit don't stink, if you're pretending you've never made mistakes, if you forget it. So allowing people to get to know who you are, what you've done, how you've learned the lessons that you've learned, to your approach. Like, what is your philosophy? What is your approach? Even if you're just doing coaching calls where you're asking people questions, like, there's some things that you believe in. There's some things in the industry that maybe don't align with you. Talking about your process and your approach. And if you get to a point where you have a framework, great, start to share it and talk about it so people familiarize themselves with it. There's a psychological phenomenon where people associate trust with things that are familiar. And the real estate agents have known this for decades, which is why their face is on billboards and stuff all the time, because for real estate agents, people are often making one of the biggest purchases of their lives. And if this is a random stranger and I just have to go by, she has a nice haircut and she's wearing a nice suit, like, you might, familiarity breeds trust. So there's the getting to know you, how you got there, getting to know your approach and your frameworks. And thirdly, showing that your stuff works. Being willing to show some authority, being willing to show client testimonials. I jokingly say, like, show your shit works. And if any one of those things is missing, then you're making it hard for me to lean in. You're making it hard for me to enroll myself. You're making it hard for me to be curious, excited, and feel like you might be the right person for me.
So cool. I freaking love it. I'm just like taking it all in. Like, it is so undervalued what you're talking about, and it's very overlooked. And it's the inner work that you're saying that really, really will help you achieve what you ultimately want. So I want to talk about some more bottlenecks that you see clients facing. I want to get back to the practical. Is there anything else that comes to mind what else is stopping these entrepreneurs, these people who maybe are in a 9 to 5, who want to start entrepreneurship, overthinking, is there something that comes to mind that is like really, really stopping them?
The first thing that comes to mind is less about people that are earlier in their journey and more about something you just mentioned. We're just talking about the framework for people to enroll themselves. And there's people that have got a couple of clients and they know they're a good coach and they are like, okay, I need to figure out a way to do this so I can start attracting clients. But then they hesitate at sharing social proof. They hesitate at showing a testimonial. They don't want to show, and it's the same kind of thing where like, I don't want to feel pushy. I don't want to feel salesy. And
I'm in the spotlight.
I'm in the spotlight. I don't feel like I'm bragging. I don't feel like I'm pumping up my chest. And just knowing that this is going to give people hope. It shows people what's possible. And it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about giving people hope. And if you're showing, hey, this client was really stuck here, was judging themselves about that, and now look, here they are, and they're feeling really awesome. So not only have they achieved X, but they feel great and confident about it. You're giving people hope. You're showing people possibility. So not only do you need it in your business to be able to enroll clients, you got to be willing to show that and showcase it. And damn, you should be proud. You should be proud of it. But you're actually doing a service by showing people what's possible. And that's definitely a bottleneck. So the stuff we're talking about earlier, I have to help people, like it's okay to show up yourself. It's okay to put out stuff that people might disagree with, all that. But then later in the journey, you got to make invitations. You have to make offers, no enrollments. And you have to be willing to, like if you've worked with CEOs, talk about it. If you've worked with people in 3 different countries, talk about it. If you've, anything that you've done or accomplished, like, show it. If you've been on podcasts, show it. If you've been on stage, show it. And if you have clients that you're serving and they're having awesome results, talk about it. Share the stories. Go ahead and change the names and make it anonymous if you need to so that the people are keeping their anonymity. But you have to be willing to share that and show that, or it's really tough because you go on LinkedIn, you search for leadership coach, I think 4 million. 4 million fucking leadership coaches come up. How are you going to stand out if you're not willing to show who you are, if you're not willing to show people what's possible? Those parts are critical.
I want to talk about leadership for a second because everything you're saying, to me, that is the word that you're helping people with, is stepping into leadership. Because what is a leader? Is actually standing with what you believe, not being apologetic. Some people don't like you. Some people love you. And you're stepping into helping people. It's not, there are bosses and there's leaders. What do you feel is the defining characteristics of a leader? And how can we put this into our business and into our life? Because that to me is what you're helping people with and how I would define, there's a lot of other terms with it, but you're helping people step into leadership in their life and their business.
Oh, this is cool. I'm glad you brought it to that because the people that I really feel called to serve, and I've started calling them natural leaders, and they are people who were leaders in the workplaces, in their peer groups before they ever heard the word coach. Like they were coaching before they even really thought about what a coach is.
Right.
And because of that, when they step into their business, it's easy for them to attract their first clients because people in their peer group see them as a leader already. Right. And for me, leadership, 2 things come to mind immediately. One is this willingness to go first. One is this willingness to take risk. One is the willingness to step out on an edge where other people aren't willing to. And the other part is willing to own your mistakes and willing to be humble. And if I think about messaging that really speaks to people, it's someone's being bold and brave. Like my event's called Do Bold Shit for a reason, because if you see someone who's doing bold and brave, that's like, wow, I can't believe they did that. That fires you. Even if you have no interest in doing that thing, you're like, holy shit, like look at them. Like that's inspiring, that's calling, that really lights you up. But also willingness to say that I've tried these things and they didn't work out. Willing to say like, yeah, right. I connected with someone on LinkedIn today and his bio says, launched 7 businesses, 3 failed, and now I'm in the midst of trying to see if I can do it again or whatever. Like,
Wow.
So that
Trust is just instantly built.
instantly built.
Mm.
So the leadership needs to show up that way too. So you showing up, being willing to share, being willing to maybe be judged, or some people not like you, and then like, talk about what you're learning, and don't pretend that things are always perfect, because that's really hard to connect with. And then in the AI world that we're in right now, where AI is writing so many people's posts, it's writing people's comments. We're at a place where probably in the next
talking to AI.
yeah, like your AI is commenting with someone else's AI. It's so weird.
Yeah.
And video is not quite there yet. Video is going to come. There's going to be a point in time in the future
Yeah.
where someone could take a recording of this and replicate us having a conversation that we didn't have, but we're not there yet. So you being willing to show that you make mistakes, show your humanity, show your imperfections, and own that is another form of leadership for me.
So powerful. It's so true what you said about AI too, and that I feel like this is a very pivotal year, 2025, that AI is just going to improve more and more. And if you don't step into your authentic self, your real purpose in this world, it's going to pass you by. And like you said, life is a blimp, and you're put on this earth for a reason, and to help people, to make impact, to make money, and have fun. Because I feel like when I look at your Instagram, I'm like, oh, this guy's living a good life. Like, I like this life, and that, to me, also builds trust, right? It's like, oh, I going back to the point earlier in the podcast where you could take advice from Gary Vee or Alex Ramosi, and they have some great advice that helped me make a lot of money.
Yes.
But it also helped me to burn out. It also helped me to build something that I really didn't feel aligned to. So knowing who you follow and who you resonate with is really, really important. Is there anyone you are looking up to now that you follow, that you have inspirations of, that you are like, wow, this person?
There's a moment now that's fleeting. And the moment is the AI is just going to flood the feeds with more crap. It's going to get harder and harder to stand out. And there's a moment in time right now where a lot of this stuff is robotic, is just, it feels generic, is vanilla. And you're being willing to show up and share who you actually are now in this present moment as an actual human, and being willing to do these things we've talked about this entire conversation is huge, and it's going away. And knowing that there's an actual countdown timer on this. So if anyone's listening to this conversation and they've been thinking like, yeah, I've been wanting to show up differently. I wanted to start writing. I wanted to show up with now more than ever, because you mentioned Gary Vee, he's been screaming up at this for a decade plus. Yeah. The moment is really fleeting. So to not avoid it and really know that there is a moment now truly more than ever. And then as far as people who are inspiring to me and people I look up to, it's funny. I'm looking and I'm finding people that are inspiring me in different areas outside. Like, I just had a conversation with a client this morning, and he messaged me back like, "I'm not crying, you're crying." And it's because he's built a business around helping a center for grieving children. And 25% of his top line revenue, not profit, top line revenue, goes to the center of grieving children, children who have lost a loved one, often to suicide. And that is his story. Joe Leon's Rising, and the company's called Data Gives Back, and I want to give him a shout out and love. And he's raised, I think it's $129,000, has put 82 children through the program at this center. And I look at him like, oh, I have goosebumps now. And I'm like that's a life well lived. That's a life worth meaning. I sat beside an older lady on the flight yesterday. She was a grandma, and then she saw my shoes, and she asked me what kind of shoes they are, and she's like, I'm just starting to pay attention to shoes. My grandson is into buying and selling shoes, and he buys shoes from secondhand stores and cleans them up and resells them. She's excitedly pulling up his Instagram and showing me all this stuff. Proud, yeah. She's so proud, but she was concerned about him, and he's not as focused on school. So I helped her see that he's actually giving himself an MBA, and he's learning skills and things, and he's putting himself out there in a way that most people his age are completely afraid of. And I had this moment, this connection with her, and I was like, so now I have draw inspiration from this 16-year-old. And then maybe the third person is someone that you and I know quite well, and it's Dan Bolton, and he's running a business right now that's doing $100K a month profit, and he's feeling a calling to pursue something else, and he's shutting down the business to just pursue, he doesn't know what yet. Meaning. Yeah. Back to this whole thing we're talking about, and how most people wouldn't do it. And he shared on a call this week that there's someone who's well known in the industry, who's very successful. And he spoke to this person about this. And this person said, "You're crazy. Why would you shut that down?" And he's like, "I think that was probably the last nudge I needed to follow this thread. And this is maybe what I need to do." So yeah, so clients, people in life, but then also Dan is definitely an inspiration.
I love that you brought up a 16-year-old is giving you inspiration, because it's not just from someone who's ahead of you in quotations, making more money, right? It is anyone that is doing something that lights you up, right?
Yes.
That sparks your creativity. It sparks the leadership, that sparks like, oh yeah, that's who I'm here to serve. That's what I'm really meant to do. So I love this conversation. Is there anything that is you're feeling calling to talk about that you want to bring up based on our conversation that you want the audience right now to listen and watch?
There's things that you know you should be doing, and there's ideas that come to you when you allow yourself to sit in silence, and when you do allow yourself to ignore your phone for a little bit, and you need to do them. You need to absolutely do them. And I reinvented myself and did a scary leap. And I was in my 40s with 2 kids and a mortgage, and I thought it was too late, and I'd already been through all sides of ups and downs, and I've done it. And I'm a high school dropout, and I'm succeeding in a way I didn't think it was possible. And I see day in and day out the difference between the people who listen to the voices, listen to the nudges, and act on them. And even if that initially doesn't succeed, you feel good because you're like, I made the attempt. And that moves you a little bit closer towards what else is possible. Other doors open up. Like you taking that one step opens up 3 new possible doors that are simply not there right now. And your clients are not in your head. The impact you want is not in your head. The meaning you crave is not in your head. You need to put you and your message out there. You need to put you and your energy out there. You need to invest in yourself in a new way. And I don't just mean like money. Money is great. But it might be time. Like, are you going to start saying no to certain friendships and relationships that are draining to spend time on your creativity? Are you going to say no to watching another Netflix series and instead spend time on building your business? Are you going to choose to spend your time and your energy in a way, and that's what I mean by investing, like truly invest, because there's a tribe, and they talk about the little hunger and the big hunger, and I don't remember what tribe it is, but the little hunger is food. The little hunger is I'm hungry. The big hunger is what we've been talking about, which is meaning. And if we don't have meaning, if we don't feel meaning, if we don't feel we're contributing, then we are missing the big hunger.
That's huge. I love that. How I like to finish a lot of these is so oftentimes we get sucked into YouTube, right? We get sucked into TikTok. We're like, oh, that was a great podcast. Let me watch another one, right? And I always like to end on something of action, right? Because we will never amount to anything without action. Action is everything. What action do you want the listeners and watchers to take? One action, one singular action that will move the needle and get them closer to where they want to go.
It's killing me to not give you 2 because I want to give 2 for 2 different kinds of listeners.
2.
But they're for different people, so I don't feel like it's truly cheating. For anyone who's just listening who maybe isn't a coach, an aspiring coach, or doesn't have a coaching business, it's back to what I just said, and it's taking some unplugged time. It's taking some time away from your devices, taking some time away from the screens, and sitting and just writing out. What are the nudges? What are the whispers? What are the things that you keep thinking about? What are the things that you've been avoiding? And getting that all out and make a commitment to yourself to start working through that list. And then for anyone who is a coach or who's building a coaching business, who's in the midst of trying to build a business with meaning, is to think about that framework that we've laid out and evaluate yourself. Like, are you putting out magnetic messaging right now that is truly you, that you are proud of, that is speaking powerfully to one particular group of people, that is leveraging your creativity? Rate yourself. 1, 2, 10, you cannot choose 7. 7 is cop out. 7 is a cheating answer. But if you say an 8 or 6, you know where you're at. 2, hell yes offer. Do you have a clear, compelling offer right now that is easy for people to say, hell yes, I want this. Hell yes, I'm in. That when you share it with people, people are excited and it's an easy yes for them. Do you have that right now? 1 to 10, can't choose 7. Rate yourself. 3rd, do you have a way for people to go from stranger to client? Do you have an intentional journey that you've created in your business that allows people to discover you and then to work their way to the point where they're saying, I want to work with you? rate yourself 1 to 10, no 7s. And then lastly, when it comes to enrollment, do you have a way to do enrollment that feels good for you, that feels aligned to you, that people feel great on the receiving end of, and makes it easy for them to say, yes, I'm in, let's do this. And again, rate yourself honestly, give yourself a 1 to 10 and go through that, and you'll have an idea of where you need to focus and where you maybe need to spend some time and some energy.
I love that. Both are clarity, right? Is getting clear. Clarity is the GPS to your dream life, to your dream destination. So it's that I love the scoring. I think that's a great practice to do that I'm actually going to do today, is scoring all those elements. So love the action. Love this conversation. The biggest thing I'm taking away from our talk today is you can write your story. It doesn't matter how many F-ups you've had in your life. You can write your story, and it can start today. That would be my action. Rewrite your story. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Let people know where they can find you, learn more about you.
So you can find me, LinkedIn is my main online hang. That's where I spend the most time online. I moonlight a bit on Instagram. I've been posting a bit more to LinkedIn. I'm in the habits of, I've been posting more on YouTube. I'm in the habit now of posting regularly on YouTube. So those are the main places. And if you really want to go, like, I want to get into Robb's world, growthhabit.org. Growthhabit.org. There's free resources there. I publish a free awesome newsletter full of kick-ass stuff. There's lots for you to check out there.
All the links will be down in the description. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.